first, thank you all for coming. You guys know, as every American idiot knows about Green Day, they've been at it since he was a teenager, and still one of the strongest, most innovative punk bands on the planet. So I want to welcome Billie Joe and thank you for coming. Back when punk was in the CBGB era, when I first got to New York, if you had walked into CBGB in like 1980 and said, okay, I've got a punk rock opera here, it's got some 9-minute songs, some suites, they would have taken away your leather jacket. Mm-hmm. So what prompted you to make this thing?
That was the hardest thing to really to talk about, was to talk about the album before it actually came out, because I think I went up on one of the Green Day message boards, and somebody they announced what it was. They had a press release about it being a punk rock opera, and someone goes, these guys are fucking nuts, man. That sounds terrible, So it's I don't know, one day we were sitting in the studio, and I had to take off because we had a place in Oakland, California, where we were doing all the writing at. And then Mike was there by himself, and he ended up writing just a 30-second song, and it was just this really funny sort of vaudeville, thing. And then I said, I want to do something, and because of using technology, I was able to connect mine to his. And then Trey did one, and then so on, and we had like a 9-minute song, and so which ended up becoming the song "Homecoming" on the album. So I don't know. It was just it felt fresh. It was definitely Green Day. So we was like, this is what we should be doing.
Did it take a long time? And did you have a story in mind when you started, or did it start with the music?
Well, that Homecoming, which would end up being sort of like the finale of the record. Homecoming, at that time, I think it was about Mike being by himself at the studio. So it was just funny. He was just like, right, everybody left the studio but me. So it was, I don't know, it was really funny. But then I ended up like rewriting it, and then we decided we wanted to take that idea and keep going. And then we already had the song "American Idiot," and then after that. It's like, what would be the perfect thing to kind of come after? And you just brainstorm and think about it, have long conversations about the record, and then came up with a character which ended up being Jesus of Suburbia.
Huh. And you told his story.
Yeah.
You say a lot of times, a couple of times in the album, you say the child of rage and love. Do you identify with that character?
Yeah, I think there was a time during Warning where I think we wanted to be more like positive or whatever that word means. So it so we ended up doing so anything to not be negative. So I don't know. So when we were talking about just how we say this, and I don't know, for me, I think it's okay to write like in a negative way. So it's like when that first line, "I'm the son of rage and love," first came out, it was like a floodgate for that song. It was just all this like anger and frustration and whatever that you sort of have pent up inside you that you sort of live with for so many years. You just end up all coming out at that moment. So and that could be whatever. I'm the son of rage and love. It could be the son of your father and your mother, or depending on what you think of rebellion, in terms of what is self-destruction and what is following your beliefs and ethics.
No, and you also have St. Jimmy in there, who ends up killing himself.
Socially, at least, I don't know.
Go ahead. Well, you were going to say something.
No, I know you first.
When authors write novels, they identify with all the characters at once. Mm-hmm. Do you identify with the extraordinary girl? Do you identify with St. Jimmy? Are these all aspects of you or of the band?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd have to definitely have to live, you know, those sides of life for sure. You know, especially with Saint Jimmy, just because Saint Jimmy is such a character. He's it's kind of the antagonist in the story of the record, and kind of ends up becoming I don't know, just that he sort of follows that sort of blind side of what rebellion is. It's just that, the self-destruction. He's a very charismatic and, he's kind of one of those guys that I think a lot of people know. I was talking to a friend of mine. We're talking like, God, there's so many people that that are kind of like that guy. Like, yeah, and a friend of mine was saying how he had a friend that, just one of those guys that would fly off the handle. And he had this friend that ended up putting out, when they were really young, his parents had this brand new coffee table, and he's sitting there, and he just took a knife and he wrote "eat shit." In the, it's like you're like, for someone that's maybe more innocent to see something like that, they're like, it's like really seductive at the same time, and it kind of, for a lot of people, it kind of carries on, throughout the rest of their life, or a little bit of Ritalin, they handle it okay.
Calm right down.
Yeah.
There's a little Ritalin on the album too.
Yeah, a little bit.
So you already had American Idiot. I mean, was that inspired by world events? I mean, where'd that song come from?
I was I think I was sitting around. It was right when the war in Iraq first started, and there was these journalists that were embedded into the tanks that were their road to Iraq. And it was. So it was one of those moments where, like, reality television meets, something like, CNN News, splashed in with Viagra commercials. And then, then you flip the channel and you're watching Fear Factor. And there's, you just get bombarded with just like, oh my God, it's like, it was just kind of scary, kind of almost like, not to sound biblical, but almost like apocalyptic in a way. So it was, I don't know, just kind of a scary time, and it's like trying to struggle to find your individuality throughout all like just a blitzkrieg of bullshit, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, you talk about media brainwashed America, and not wanting to be part of it. I mean, it seems like that's still a punk reaction. It's you want to stand aside from what's going on.
It's a reaction, but at the same time, I don't know. I think it's important to be as far as like what I've taken from punk rock, or is to be proactive at the same time. Not necessarily just a reaction, having a reaction, but also taking action at the same time. So making a bold statement.
Yeah. Speaking of punk, you met Mike when you were like 10, right?
Yeah.
And you were always listening to it?
No.
I mean, what was in the record collection back then?
Well, me and Mike, we met each other in the 5th grade, and then we started playing music together, I think when we were about 12. So, and the first song that we ever learned together was Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. Which I'm proud to say.